How is this possible when we keep hearing that we've exhausted our COVID savings and that wages are challenged by inflation?
Well, so the main point of that report was just making the empirical observation that wages are rising faster than costs. That's just a truth. That's just a fact. And I think a lot of times if you're listening to the narrative around what's happening with the economy, you'll hear the exact opposite. So that Treasury report was just trying to put a number to a fact, which is that for most Americans, wages are rising faster than prices. The other interesting thing to come out of that report was that this is pretty unique to the United States. And so if you look at our competitors, if you look at economies in Europe and Japan, that is not true in general for them. So this fact that wages are outpacing prices is unique to the United States.
When you look about consumer prices, gasoline is one of the biggest issues at the top of mind of consumers. It's now just a little bit over $3 a gallon. Last night, former President Donald Trump was in Iowa. He's saying it's $5, $7, $9 a gallon. That's not true. But why is this not landing on consumers' minds? Prices are coming down.
Look, the economy, by any way you measure it, is just looking terrific right now in ways that we couldn't even imagine in our wildest dreams 2 or 3 years ago. So gas prices are part of that. The decline in inflation is part of that. The continued positive state of household balance sheets is part of that. So the real question is, why isn't this seeping through? And I think the answer is that inflation just crowded everything out. That if I came on this show or if I went and gave a speech when I was Assistant Treasury Secretary and I started making points about how good the economy looked, everyone would say, yeah, but inflation. But now that the inflation is down under 3% for core over the last 6 months, we can actually start talking about all the things that are great about the economy.
Case in point, union workers in our poll preferring Donald Trump to the guy who walked the picket line with them and I think you could argue, help them get a 30% raise with his support as part of that deal. It's got to be pretty noisy to not hear that.
So, with union members, I think people vote for presidents based on a lot of different factors.
Sure.
Sometimes it's social, sometimes it's economic. There are some people that might prefer candidate Trump over candidate Biden for reasons unrelated to the economy.
So you don't see that turning in the next year, though, as prices continue to come down. We turn away from this idea of inflation, and people say, hey, look what we're left with, a 30% raise.
Well, what I think will happen now is that people in the Biden administration can start making the economic case without having to defend inflation. So 4 in 10 registered voters have never heard of the Inflation Reduction Act. That is crazy. And so I think you'll see Biden administration officials go out and selling the president's accomplishments, but they'll also be able to sell the state of the economy, which is something they couldn't do when inflation dominated.
I want to talk to you about the Fed because Powell was very dovish. And on Friday, when we had this really stellar jobs report, President Biden was in a room with donors, and he said this: "We learned the economy added 199,000 jobs again this month. Solid, steady job growth. Like that, we call that a sweet spot. That's needed for stable growth and lower inflation." He then goes on to say that he's not encouraging the Fed to raise interest rates. That was on Friday. Janet Yellen had a similar tone on inflation, how she sees the Fed as doing their job, doesn't really need to mess around with it following that. And then Jay Powell came up and was very dovish. What's going on?
So, what's sort of suggested in the question is there's some sort of coordination. I can say, having sat in the Treasury Department for the first 2.5 years of the Biden administration, there is no coordination. And the Biden administration staunchly stuck to this firewall between the Fed and the administration, as much as it was tempting to do something otherwise. Why did Jay Powell turn dovish? Because it was the right thing to do. How could you not turn dovish when you're seeing these inflation
within 2 weeks?
Look, we got a lot of good prints coming out. I think that the statement...
We'll give you that. There was more economic news.
There was more economic news, and it could not have been better. This is the definition of a soft landing. So, of course, the Fed turns dovish. There's no
Consider what was said, though, there. I don't know if we can show that again, but you could read that a couple of different ways. Like, I'm not encouraging the Fed, or did he mean the data are not? Can we show that again to get a sense of... If you read through it, it's a little bit choppy. He's ad-libbing. The sweet spot that's needed for stable growth and lower inflation, not encouraging the Fed to raise interest rates. Did he mean the data, Ben?
So I staffed Joe Biden for a long time. Yeah. I don't always know what
you don't want to read into that.
Things. So I can only guess. But what I can say is that he has an established record as president of respecting that firewall. And I don't think that he's going to break it, at the end of 2023. I don't think that was intentional.
So let's talk about what you do expect from the Fed next year. Because potentially if they cut rates into an election year, it's going to be a huge boost for the economy.
It'll be a boost for economy, but the economy is already looking much better. I think the way that I read the Fed's stance right now is that the default option is a cut, but it's not guaranteed. This Fed has tried very hard to be apolitical. They were apolitical during the Trump administration. I mean, Jay Powell was apolitical when President Trump was coming out and making very personal attacks. I mean, if you're not going to jump in the political ring then, you're never going to do it. And kudos to Jay Powell, by the way, for maintaining that credibility. So, my read of Fed policy over the next year is that they'll cut rates if if the data demand it. And that's how they've been all along. They've been very data dependent.
So is the job from here to wait? The Biden campaign says, look, we put all the ingredients. We've got to bake this cake. There's a lag effect on these interest rates and so-called Bidenomics to where in the middle of the year, we're going to have a good story to tell.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Bidenomics. I mean, I felt that the Bidenomics term was a little risky because it wasn't just about what the Biden administration had accomplished. It was also about the state of the macroeconomy. Yeah. If you find yourself in the summer of 2024 and the macroeconomy doesn't look very good, you'll have regretted tying Bidenomics to the macroeconomy. Now, mid-2024 looks really good for macroeconomy. It looks like a good bet. But again, what this allows the president and his team to do is go out and sell their accomplishments. And to those 4 in 10 people who have never heard of the IRA, for the people that were unaware of the CHIPS Act, that were unaware of the benefits of the ARP, they can now sell that without having to defend the state of inflation.
To the term Bidenomics, that happened because of an editorial that was criticizing Biden and called it Bidenomics. And then the White House embraced it. Do you think that they should have handled that differently?
No, not necessarily. I mean, look, sometimes they take things that are initially negative, like the "Let's Go Brandon" slogan, and turn that into a positive.
Dark Brandon.
Yeah, exactly. So,
what do you think's better, Dark Brandon or Bidenomics?
Oh, jeez.
As a slogan.
These are, I don't know. I don't like either.
No, but in a serious question, to understand the state of what voters are thinking, what do you think they know more of?
I think that the voters still think that the economy is in rough shape because they're being told that the economy is in rough shape not by legitimate news sources like Bloomberg, but by news sources they get on social media. I mean, if you look at voters' description of the macroeconomy, this is not about how they feel. This is asking them to go ahead and describe the macroeconomy. You still see large shares saying we're in a recession. I mean, that is so untrue. So I think what can happen now is that voters can start actually describing the economy as expanding as it is, realizing that we've got a 3.7% unemployment rate, a historically tight labor market. And so they might be getting the message now.
Our producer Matt reminds us Obamacare started as a disparaging remark as well.
Exactly.
He decided to own it. This president's decided to own Bidenomics.
Yes.
And if what you're saying is true, that might become a compliment at some point in the year ahead.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the definition of a soft landing. The expectation is that the Fed is going to cut rates 3 times. You saw that in their last set of projections. Yeah. If they want to cut 3 times in 2024, they're probably going to have to start in the spring. I mean, look, I'm betting on the American economy in 2024. That can only be good news for the incumbent.